Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Abundology podcast. My name is Renee Spears, and I'm a spiritual advisor and mentor, and I help people be happy and attract more money, love, time, and joy in their lives. Please excuse my voice and all my sniffling. I have a little spring cold. I sound bad, but I don't feel that bad. So I'm coming to you from a snowy, yes again, Bozeman, Montana, and this is the weekly energy update for the week of May 8th, 2022. Every Sunday, I talk about how the energy is going to be for the week ahead, and I also infuse the show with some positive vibes, so you get a little positive energy boost just for listening. And happy Mother's Day! I love to celebrate the things I did well as a mom on Mother's Day. You know, all of us can look back and see things we would have done differently with the gift of hindsight, but today we get to focus on all the wonderful things we did right. You know, I was a working mom and I felt guilty about that for many years. And one summer I got laid off and I had the opportunity to spend the summer with my boys. So we did all the things, went camping and swimming and barbecues and the state fair, theme parks, all the things. And toward the end of summer, I got a new job and I was feeling so horrible about telling my kids that I had to go back to work. So I sat them down and I'm ready to deliver this horrible news. And when I told them, they said, "Yay, we get to go back to daycare." So after that, I never felt bad about working again, and I realized it was my hang up, not theirs. So before we jump into the energy for the week, let's just take a minute to recognize the extraordinary times we're in. A week ago, we had a solar eclipse in Taurus, and we talked about Uranus, the planet known for surprises, being active during that eclipse. And we saw the results of that this past week with the surprise leak of the Supreme Court ruling of Roe versus Wade. Sure, we all watched the steps leading up to this decision for years, but it was still a big shock. And this is representative of the times we're in right now. And we're in the thick of it this week, with Mercury Retrograde, Jupiter moving into Aries, and a total Scorpio full blood moon lunar eclipse. Say that 10 times fast, huh? These are extraordinary times, and during times like this, big, important changes in our lives are happening. So don't let this intense energy scare you. So we're going to surf this big energy and feel so alive and empowered on the other side that you won't even recognize your current self. So let's start with Mercury Retrograde. Of course, this one is extraordinary. Normally, the planet will stay in one sign during the retrograde, but this year, all 4 Mercury retrogrades will spend time in 2 different zodiac signs. So on Tuesday the 10th, Mercury goes retrograde in the playful and clever sign of Gemini, and then it moves into Taurus on the 22nd, where it stays until June 3rd when it goes direct. So as we know, Mercury retrograde is famous for throwing our technology, our travel, and our communications all out of whack. And I'm not going to sugarcoat it for you. This particular retrograde is going to be a little rocky, mainly due to it occurring in the middle of eclipse season. All of these events overlapping can make us feel ungrounded and nervous. And this Mercury retrograde allows us to understand the power that our words have. Nastiness on social media will be at an all-time high, and that is saying something. This is the absolute perfect time to take a social media break if you've been thinking about it. And it's important to understand during this time that we should be kind with the way we choose to express ourselves. To do this, just don't make any assumptions about a person or a situation until you know all the facts. And taking care of our mental health will be a top priority. It always is, of course, but try and let this time be filled to the brim with self-care. Making time to meditate, practice yoga, and try to find ways to calm your mind and gain clarity in your thoughts. It's essential during this time. It's not a luxury. This is a necessity. Otherwise, this transit can be really overwhelming. So Mercury retrograde always marks a time of deep introspection, when the universe asks us to slow down. And if we dive into deep reflection, this retrograde can actually help us ground and reconnect to our center at a time when we need it the most. So it's best during this time just to remain flexible, patient, and understanding while also allowing extra time for travel and to avoid signing any new contracts that you're feeling unsure of. This is the perfect time, however, to clean out your closets, both literally and metaphorically. So wrap up old projects and reconsider what you're doing and where you're going with your life. Mercury retrograde is all about the 3 R's: reflect, review, and redo. Bad habits, especially when it comes to how you communicate, are catching up with you right now. You're discovering that the big things like friendships and jobs and relationships aren't working out as well as they could, because the first part of this retrograde is happening in Gemini, the sign of communication. This is our opportunity to think before we speak, to learn to listen more, and to avoid talking shit about anything. What goes around always comes back around during a retrograde. Yeah, this is a stressful time, but it's also a necessary time. So look at it this way. Mercury retrograde can help you discover who and what really belongs in your life and help you plan out changes that make your lives happier. So on the same day that Mercury goes retrograde, Tuesday, the 10th, Jupiter moves into Aries. And when Jupiter moves from dreamy Pisces, where it's been for the past few months, into unstoppable Aries, it can be shocking. It's like waking from a lucid dream to a blaring fire truck siren. And everything can feel like it needs to be done immediately. There's a sense of urgency. A false sense of urgency, perhaps? This isn't fun energy. Both world wars started during Jupiter and Aries periods, so friction and frustration are in the air. But just knowing this and then taking the extra steps to stay calm and balanced will help a lot. And all of this is leading up to the total Scorpio full blood moon lunar eclipse next Sunday. So there are a few things going on with this full moon. First, the month's full moon is called the flower moon, and it's easy to understand why. It's spring bulbs are all blooming now. This full moon is also a super moon, and a super moon occurs when the position of the moon is at its closest point to the Earth. So the orbit of the moon around the Earth isn't a perfect circle. It's more like egg-shaped than circular. So on the 15th, the moon will be in the spot of its orbit where it's closest to the Earth. So the total eclipse is a flower moon and a super moon, but wait, of course there's more. It's also a blood moon. So during a total lunar eclipse, the Earth passes directly between the sun and the moon, and its shadow is cast upon the moon, making it look red. So just as new moons are linked to beginnings, full moons are tied to endings. And endings can be hard, but we need things to end so that we can have new beginnings. Eclipses get us on the right track. They open doors by slamming others shut. So everything happening this week is waking us up and getting rid of whatever is no longer serving our souls. It's a lot. This is a lot. And it's intense. And you must center yourself. Every day, put self-care on your to-do list. Extra self-care, like is taking baths and getting plenty of sleep and eating good food and meditating and going slow. So keep in mind all this week that this time is here to help us grow. And the mantra for the week is, I am centered and balanced and moving forward toward the life of my dreams. I am centered and balanced and moving forward toward the life of my dreams. And that's it for the week, just all that stuff. No big deal. That's it for the week. Once again, thank you for listening and passing this podcast on to friends you think may like it. I also thank you once again for tolerating my sickness voice. Enjoy this life fast forward happening this week, and I will talk to you again next week.